Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Golf Insider webcast and podcast. I'm Jeff Bergerson. My screen name on DFS sites is JT Bergerson. Joined as always by my partner, Zach Turcotte. His screen name is mysteriously on those daily sites. We're with FantasyGolfInsider.com, where if you haven't yet, become a premium member and get all of the information and data that you need to be a successful and profitable player in fantasy golf and DFS golf. This broadcast is also available as a podcast on iTunes. Be sure to check that out. Give us a good 5-star review. Write something nice about us. We'd appreciate that. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you know exactly when our webcast comes out every week. One thing I wanted to mention this week, Zachary, is something we've added to our website. Another value add. We've had a lot of requests for this.
We have.
And for those of you who read Zach's awesome 4-part series on winning GPPs, he talks a lot about analyzing key data from the past. So what we're doing is we added a section that's going to have ownership percentages for DraftKings GPPs in the $3 event, the $27 event, and the $300 event. So you see the spectrum. Ownership percentages for every player in the field. And this is key information that we study every week. Helps us to determine what's coming up when we do our ownership predictions. And so we're putting that on there, as well as the winning lineups for the $3 and the $300, and also the optimal lineup, the best lineup possible that you could have had. Be sure to check this out. Look at it every week. We're going to put it on there for the past week's tournament. Study it, learn from it. Knowledge is power, and it's going to help a great deal. We want to make sure our members have all of the data possible. Yeah, so we're going to bring it to you. Should we talk about the Waste Management Phoenix Open, Zachary?
We can get that in just a minute. I want to bring up one quick thing here before we do that. We are sitting in the presence of greatness here this evening. To my left, we have who I believe is the single greatest fantasy golf sports writer in the nation. This guy right here. And he's nominated the Fantasy Sports Writers Association Golf Writer of the Year. He's up against a couple other competitors out there. But they are actually going to be announcing the award tomorrow night on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Network. So go ahead, tune in between, I think it's 7 to 9 p.m.
7 to 9 Central Time.
Yep, so 7 to 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Everybody tune in to cheer him on. Hopefully we'll be able to bring that one home for Team FGI, because I think Jeff did an outstanding job last year, and hopefully we'll get some recognition out of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Woo! So, yeah, I mean, it's good competition, so I don't expect that I'll win, Zachary, but it's nice just to be honored with being a finalist. So we work our tails off writing, and it's nice to hear every once in a while that it's appreciated out there.
For sure.
So on to recap of the Waste Management Phoenix Open for the third straight week. We had a playoff. This time, I thought once it got to the playoff, Ricky Fowler is more clutch than Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah,
can drain putts.
I thought he'd turn it into a putting contest, is what I thought. Play fairly conservatively and didn't just out-putt him. And he almost did the second time through on 18 when Ricky hit the birdie putt. I thought Hideki has almost no chance of hitting this putt here. But somehow Hideki was just locked in from 17 and 18 onward there, and then into the playoff. He looked great. I mean, most of the shots, other than the second to last one, he actually had a chance to put it away on the shot before, missed a short putt, but fortunately for him, Ricky had tanked. It was just kind of outrageous to watch Ricky play there at the end.
What do you think of that?
I wasn't very happy.
Because you made a run. Zach made a run in the $300 tournament on DraftKings.
I had 8th place pretty well locked up. I was secure with taking home a couple thousand out of that and feeling pretty good. I pivoted off of Bubba to Ricky in that tournament because I figured Bubba would be the higher owned guy. I figured this would be like the 1 week really where people would be off of Ricky Fowler. I mean, typically Ricky's 20%
coming off the miscut,
and it worked out great. He had 11%, so I was making a nice run. James Hahn was actually tied and leading the tournament on into Saturday. I have a bone to pick with him as well. And then he melted away. And then Ricky, I had 8th place locked up, and I was thinking after 16, okay, he didn't birdie it there, but he's not going to do anything stupid on 17 or 18. And then he did something completely stupid.
He did something stupid.
And It absolutely baffles me why he would have tried to. It's been discussed pretty much at length. Commentators have talked about it now. Why would you drive the green there? I think it's just an ego thing, and you see it over and over with some of these guys where I can hit the green here. I'm going to have my tin cup moment, and I'm going to take out my driver here. I'm going to smack it all the way down, and that's going to be that. But it didn't work out for him. I hit it across, and then Hideki went birdie, and then they were into the playoff. And then Ricky, just the way Ricky was hitting shots in the playoff, I didn't feel like he was going to do it. And he almost burned himself on the first one, and then had an ace chip to kind of save par. The second one, I thought he had it locked up. The third hole, I thought he was dead when he hit the one into the rough, and then he hit it over the green. I thought, oh, he's in trouble now, but he saved it. But Hideki deserved to win that one. He played smart golf at the end there, and he didn't have any major breakdowns. So I felt disappointed in seeing my team go from 8th to 11th, but it was a hell of an exciting tournament.
It was
a whole lot better than what we saw at the Super Bowl.
Yep. So it definitely was.
Overall, it was another really tough cut. Had a handful of guys who were storming back, looking good there, going into the last hour or so of the day, and then it just came undone for Smiley Kaufman, Kevin Kisner, Jason Duffner. It just collapsed right near the end of the day, and we went from having only a couple guys that were going to miss to having 5-6 guys that ended up missing and taking out a couple of key teams. So that was a little bit disappointing, but we had a lot of really strong picks, guys that did really well there near the top. So I was excited about that. So overall, a difficult week, but I ended up doing all right. I was a little bit ahead. The cash games, again, with Smiley missing and a couple other unlikely misses, that did hurt a little bit. But overall, I was a little bit ahead. How'd you do?
I have a bone to pick as well, and this will just actually flow right into our shot of the week, because I have a bone to pick with Kevin Chappell last week, who I know he's a head case. I know that when he gets when the wheels start coming off, that they really start coming off. There were a lot of key contestants for shot of the week, but I went with Kevin because it was a little bit personal. I had a couple good Ricky Matsuyama teams, and Kevin sunk them pretty much. So we'll start. Coming into Friday's round, Kevin Chappell was 3 under par, about T12, I think, is where he sat. Yeah. Comes out, pars the first 4 holes, and then birdies the 5th hole. So now all of a sudden he's -4 and he's tied for 5th place. Then the wheels come off. 5 consecutive holes he bogeys.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the leaderboard, watching him just drop down.
Yeah.
Then he bogeys another one, birdies a couple. So he's right on the cut line, even par.
He was even par going to 18.
Going to 18, he's even par where the cut line was. All he had to do is par 18.
Get out of there.
Play smart. Chunks it in the water.
Done.
Oh, doubles the hole. So then all of a sudden,
he had no shot. Once he went to +2, it was game over.
So within a couple few hours, he went from T5 to missing the cut completely.
Sure.
So for that, I'm going to do my shot. As you can see, we are taking shots this week out of our brand new Fantasy Golf Insider shot glasses, available at the FGI store for purchase.
That's yours?
That's mine.
Okay.
Kevin Chappell, you suck.
We'll talk about that again in Wacky Wagers. That also hurt my opponent a little bit this week. There's so many to choose from here.
Do you have one that you like to?
I mean, Ricky's is so obvious.
Ricky's is obvious.
Well, he had 2, so I mean, I feel like I should just bring the bottle over for the way Ricky fell apart there at the end of the day. I mean, he's usually so clutch. You wouldn't expect that. No, mine is actually going to go to James Hahn this week, who we were talking about earlier. I had him on my $300 team, and I thought, and at the end, he still ended up finishing tied for 15th or so, which at the end of the week, you think, that's great.
You would have taken that
player, T15, amazing. But when he's got 25 holes left to play and he's tied for the lead at -12, you're thinking, this needs to be a top 5 kind of finish for the week. So he gets on to hole 12, he hits a bogey. It's okay. There's par 3. That's not necessarily going to derail you. But 13 is the easiest hole in the course. That's a hole, not only do you need to do well there, you probably need to be at least having a good birdie opportunity off of that. And he hits it off the tee, and he hits it into the trash. He's into the native area, which
right.
in Phoenix, Scottsdale down there can mean a lot of different things. In this case, it was like a gravel pit, essentially, that was hitting out of. He had a whole bunch of trees and things in front of him. You know, Harris English played it great on Sunday because he hit it into the same kind of area, and he plunked it back onto the fairway and actually knocked it onto the green and ended up with a great birdie opportunity. James Hahn, on the other hand, elected to try to hook it around all the trees and put the thing on the green to be a hero shot, basically, get there in 2. Well, he didn't hit it square. He hit it back into the garbage. He was under a tree. From the tree, he hit it into a bunker, and then from there, the wheels came off of James Hahn's tournament. He double bogeys 13. So he's first up on 14. Somebody made a sound or something. He hits it straight right out of bounds, over through the fence area into where all the homes are and things. Another double bogey. So within 3 holes, he's erased 5 shots, and we don't see him on TV for the rest of the weekend.
Right.
He's walking around with the leader group, and you kind of see him pass through the shot here and there. Like, oh, there's James Hahn. He is still playing this round. He hasn't withdrawn yet. So he actually slid all the way from -12 to down to -3 at one point on Sunday before rallying back to -6 to get to 15th. But it was a really
brutal,
big missed opportunity for James Hahn, and money that also flowed.
That's
right
a several $1,000
well.
shot right there that you're taking for James Hahn.
For him, yes, for him. And just a couple thousand for me.
Right.
So James Hahn, here's to you, buddy.
So that'll lead us into Wacky Wagers this week. And after you digest that shot, I'll let you talk about...
back on course. I had a big victory over the weekend.
Who'd you play? It was Glenn Chorney,
Took down Glenn Chorney.
Right.
Who is an international poker legend.
Yep.
As
WPT
like
champ, wasn't he?
Yeah, he won a few $1 million out at Monte Carlo years back. So felt really good. We had 2 somewhat similar teams. We had a couple overlapping players. And we both had Kazire. We both had Patrick Rogers. And then the difference ended up being we both ended up with a missed cut. I had Smiley blow it for me. He had Chappell meltdown and miss for him. But in the end, Charles Howell III, Bubba Watson, and I'm blanking on who my third was there that carried me to victory. Over him, he had Kevin Na and Brooks Koepka. Brooks kind of fell apart.
Did you win easily, or was it pretty close?
And they had Piercy, who was up there, who also fell apart. I ended up beating him by about 11 points.
Okay.
So he pulled back near the end of the day. He kind of came back towards the end of the day to close the gap a little bit. But Glenn's a tough opponent, so I was pretty happy with the victory. So we've got a couple of custom-made sweatshirts coming our way here.
Cool,
in the
looking
next couple
forward
weeks.
to it.
We actually received
That was your first win.
Our first prize.
From Pat Mayo.
We got this from Pat.
Beautiful.
We didn't get the frame yet, so we'll eventually have a place somewhere around here where we can put that, but he's autographed it to us. Congrats on your shaming of me at the Sony Open. Love, Pat Mayo. So thanks for that, buddy.
Very nice.
We appreciate that. So I'm back to 2-2 on the season.
Okay.
And this week we've got one of our bitter rivals. We've got PGA DFS over there. So David's challenged me to this week. He's putting up some Nike golf gear. And again, we'll be putting up some swag from the site, so we'll post that. Okay. And we'll post the matchups. And it should be interesting because when I've seen the picks before, he tends to have some different guys than what we've got. So I don't imagine that we'll have a ton of overlap within the 2 lineups. So it should be a lot of fun to see how the 2 teams compete against each other this week out at Pebble Beach.
If you have some item of special interest that you want to offer up for our Wacky Wager contest, please tweet us a picture or email us a picture of it. We'd want to challenge you and take you on heads up. It's a fun contest.
The line is starting to form a little bit, so make sure you get in. We got PGA DFS this week. Daniel Worth next week is putting up a Ray Allen autograph picture.
A Ray Allen autograph picture?
From the Milwaukee Bucks days. So that's on the block for next week. I think Ryan Sablotny from Dallas wants to get in line on that. We've had a lot of people say, can I get make sure you send those submissions in because we're starting to kind of carve out the whole season for everybody that wants to jump in on the action. So it's been a lot of fun, and we're going to do it all season. So you get plenty of chances to take a crack at me.
There you go. Onward to this week's event at one of my absolute favorite courses, Pebble Beach. Love it. One of my least favorite, thanks to television coverage. I hate this event so much. God, they just butcher it on TV.
You don't want to see Bill Murray's entire round?
I love Bill Murray. He's just, I
don't want to watch him golf. No, I don't want to watch him golf. It's the same shtick.
I know.
He's wearing his funny hat.
And I don't want to see an interview with Huey Lewis. I hate Ray Romano. I don't want to see him play. I don't want to see him talk. Yeah. I don't like. Do you like Ray Romano? How bad does that guy suck? You didn't like
the Michael Phelps interview?
Oh my God!
Or the music videos. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
The coverage.
So it gets to the extreme this weekend though. It does. Especially the first couple of days when it's on the Golf Network, because they're just shameless. That's their whole point of trying to attract an audience who just wants to see the stars out there golfing. And I don't want to see Kelly Slater swinging a golf club. He's not riding a surfboard. I don't want to see him. So there's a lot of guys that I just won't want to. I won't want to see, and the play is slower.
The play is really slow, and most of the coverage will be on just Pebble Beach. So if you're following guys on the other courses, and I'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Have we bitched enough?
Jesus, the event sucks. And if you remember it, you'll know. If not, you'll see how terrible it is.
Legion of Gloom over here, right?
So Pebble Beach.
So we're excited. Here we go. Let's get to it. Pebble Beach.
It's a 3-course rotation again. So much like the Career Builder, they're going to play their opening rounds on 3 different courses: Pebble Beach, Spyglass, Monterey Peninsula. Round 4, the final round, will be back to Pebble Beach. Everyone will play that. So the cut will be after the 3rd round. Make sure that you note that. So it'll be easier. Well, you'll have guys that are guaranteed 3 rounds. So that's important to note.
How many guys are making it through the cut?
Top 60 and ties will make it to Sunday.
Right. Yep.
Actually, through T70, we'll get MDF and get paid.
It's weird. You look at the numbers like, wait a minute, these guys all played 3 rounds. These are MDF. So those guys will get paid still. It's one of the last real weird ones that we have.
It is a quirky tournament. Pebble Beach is 6,828 yards. It is a par 72. Yeah. Spyglass is 6,960 yards. It is a par 72. And Monterey Peninsula is a 6,873 yard course, and it is a par 71, or at least we believe, because there's conflicting opinions. I read on PGA that it's 71, but
that's what it was last year.
It was last year as well, but I've heard from other sources that it might be 72, but we're going to say 71. It doesn't make a huge difference. It's actually a loaded field. 6 of the top 10 players in the world will be here this week.
It's real interesting at the top, very loaded.
Yep.
And then we're kind of missing a lot in the middle and bottom ranks. The pricing this week is difficult.
It's pretty tough,
to say the least.
It's pretty tough.
I think it's every year. It's month to month. DraftKings. I was just starting to get kind of comfortable with that 7,000 to 9,000 range of guys that were always going to be available, and you're going to be able to put a couple of top guys in there at the high end, and maybe you have to grab one guy in the 6 range and feel pretty comfortable with the guys you're putting in the 7s and 8s. This week, not so much the case. Tons of guys got pay hikes after blowing the cut.
I know.
Over the last week, which was kind of mind blowing.
Yep.
I was really surprised. This is definitely the toughest pricing that we've seen so far, and with an event like this where the scoring is as high as it is. I think it was -6 made the cut last year. Was that the score? Yeah. So that's And then the year prior to that, I think it was +1.
Well, and that's the thing. So that's a key point to make, is it's so dependent upon the weather. Yeah. The course can be so difficult. Pebble Beach is right on the cliffs. So if there's wind, it is a very difficult course. If there's no wind, the course is defenseless, and guys will carve it up. So it's tough to give a range. Right now I'm looking at the weather, and it looks like it's going to be pretty calm. So I'm expecting high scoring, kind of like the Career Builder as well. It's going to be
pretty similar to last year when Snedeker set the course record, or set the tournament record.
Yep. Yeah. One thing that people don't realize is how small the greens are at Pebble Beach, plus they're sloping greens. So what we're looking for is good iron approach play, proximity to the hole, and if you're not, then you better be a good putter. Yeah. Because we saw that last year with Snedeker, obviously a great putter. We've seen guys like Jimmy Walker play well. Dustin Johnson, great iron player. And when he gets hot, he can putt well too.
Yeah, the top end guys, it's really going to be tricky. I know that at the top, you're a DJ guy this week.
I'm a DJ guy this week just because this is one of the few places that I really like DJ. I like him here. I like him at Doral, obviously. But Pro-Ams are tough to play when you're playing with celebrities, and he gets to play.
He's basically a celebrity. Yeah. He's playing with. Is he going to play with Wayne again?
Yeah, he'll play with his father-in-law, which is pretty comfortable for him. He probably plays with him quite a bit. So rather than playing with some douche who kicks it around, he's playing with Wayne Gretzky, and Wayne,
Wayne can golf.
He's not. Yeah, he can. Yeah, he's good. So
it's not going to slow him up at all.
No. Key stats this week: strokes gained tee to green.
Always.
Yeah, par 5 scoring, strokes gained putting, proximity to the hole, birdie or better percentage.
Yes.
I think these are all very key stats that we need to look at this week. If you checked out our model, you can adjust the percentages as far as what stats you want to weight. We'll put up what we believe are the optimum ones.
Yeah, we did great last week.
Interactive.
The way we weighted it last week, we actually had 23 out of our top 30 guys made it through the cut.
That's awesome. For last week.
For last week, that's great. So being almost, just a shade under 80%, we were pretty pleased with it. And, and what was nice with that was it really recognized that the 7,000 and up range were the guys you had to stick with. Because there really wasn't a lot of guys in that lower range. And most of those guys punted it. They were horrible. So the model performed fantastic for just the numbers that we had programmed in there. So I was really pleased to see that. So yeah, if you haven't really checked it out yet, or if you haven't played with it too much, definitely take a look at it. Integrate it into your process each week. So,
So let's look at some guys. And one more key point. If we do see the weather is going to pick up, and like always, I send out the email on Wednesday nights to you with any last minute withdrawals, weather situations. If we do see that it's going to be really windy on, let's say, Thursday.
Just get Bubba out of all your
lineups. Yank Bubba out. But Spyglass is a more protected course. It has tree lines. So if we see that it's going to be windy, Pebble is not protected. It's right on the cliffs. It's going to get hammered. So if we jockey our players around for who's going to play Spyglass or Pebble on Thursday, it could put us in a key situation if we're stacking in GPPs, if we're doing multiple teams.
So it's really got to be day-by-day weather for it.
Day by day. So we're going to look Wednesday night. I'll send out an email.
So if the weather looks good on Thursday, we want our guys going through Pebble.
Yeah, we want them going through Pebble. So stack your GPPs accordingly. Now, that doesn't mean just pick any guys. Pick them from your GPP core of 20 to 30, 20 core guys, maybe another 10, 20 peripheral guys. Depends on how many lineups you're building. But that's just a key point that not probably a lot of people will recognize and maybe give you a bit of an edge in a GPP.
So now we get beyond Dustin a little bit coming down. We got your favorite guy there who's right at the top. We got Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
He's had a couple of top 10s here before. I don't think he's going to be quite as overlooked now. He's been so dominant. I don't think people are going to overlook him. The guy I kind of want to look at first, because I think people are going to gravitate towards DJ. I
think so too.
He's had 7 top 10s out of 9 starts at Pebble, including the time when it was the U.S. Open here. So it's so compelling that I think I have a hard time believing people won't be drawn to that. I think people will be drawn to Spieth just because of the success. This might be a week where you can get Jason Day a little bit under own. He's coming off of a missed cut the other week at the Farmers, and that disappointed a lot of owners, a lot of people who didn't jump off when they talked about him being 6. I think this might be the week. Like last week, he kind of pivot off of the top 2 guys. I think pivoting off of the top Spieth, and then the guy who I think he's priced 3rd with DJ. But I think this might be the week where you get Jason Day at that 10 to 12%
Oh,
range.
you think 10 to 12?
It's going to be hard because I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards Spieth at the top.
I agree with that.
I think they're going to definitely be on DJ.
I think so too.
And even if you'll walk down the list with me a little bit here, you've got Snedeker's won 2 of the last 3 years. That's hard to avoid. And then you got even Jimmy Walker.
Jimmy Walker has a great tournament history here.
4 out of 5 top 10s. I think he was 21st last year, but 4 top 10s in previous tries. So this might be the week where people are a little bit off of Jason Day. So I think that might be the GPP play that I'm looking at. I'm not really looking at any of these guys near the top. Nobody this week over 10K I'm going to put into cash games just because it's way too tough. I might not even play a lot of cash games, to be honest, this week, just because there's so many.
I'll be scaling back.
There's so many blow-up artists in the 7,000 range. I'm just not comfortable putting together lineups and hoping maybe I get 5 through. Because I think this will be a week where if you get 4 solid guys through the cut, you probably will get paid. If you have one guy who's kind of close to the top, so I get 4 of 6, probably will get paid this week. But if you look at those guys in the 7s range, I mean, we've got William McGirt, Dirt McGirt, who's 3 of 5 years, had 3 very good finishes, and he's had 2 missed cuts. You've got Will Wilcox, who, thanks a lot, Will Wilcox, for telling everybody last week I was gonna write the guy up. He was gonna be my last GPP pick of the week, and then somebody tweeted out, just for everybody's reference, here's what Will says, and Will says, it's not quite there yet.
Right.
Don't roster me this week. And then he goes, was he T5 this week? So you got
That's
Will
frustrating. He thought he was doing us a favor, guys who follow him, guys who are big into DFS, and instead he kills us because we jump off.
I know,
because he said that before, and he's been bad.
And
so
you look at this whole range of guys here in the lower 7s. You got Watney, who withdrew. He's got a pretty good history here.
Yeah, he played well last year.
Withdrew last week, missed the cut there the week before that. You've got Wilcox, you got Badley, who blew up last week. Brendan Todd, his game's all over the place. You know, even Andrew Loop, who I like, up at 7,400 though. I mean, he's either been top 10 or kind of out of there for the most part this year.
I think the high ownership is going to be on Bryce Mulder at 7,700.
Yeah, coming off what he did last week.
What he did last week,
and
he
his
has
history here.
Great tournament history. And what's crazy is I'm always doing research a week ahead. So last week I was looking at this week's tournament, and I'm like, oh wow, Bryce Mulder, this makes so much sense. This is going to be a great play. And then he goes off last week and completely ruins it. Yeah. So he's going to be highly owned in that 7,000 range. And then also Siwoo Kim.
It just came undone for him on Sunday.
But he's made every cut, and he has a price drop this week at 7,400.
One of the few who has a actual price drop.
Right. So people are going to gravitate toward that as well.
I think down that range, and you're going to hate this, but I think I like Kevin Chapman.
Oh, Christ.
What do you think about that? Nice tournament history.
I know, he does.
He just ruined a lot of people's teams last week. And this happened last year. We had the exact same scenario.
Sometime Canadian, RBC Canadian.
Was it? Yeah, I think it was at the Canadian where everybody all of a sudden
all on him.
Converged within a week, and he had 30% crazy ownership, and then he blew the cut. Everybody's off of him the rest of the way. He's made like 16 of his last 19 cuts.
I know.
So he's only had a few real hiccups. And at 7,300, you're getting a guy who's had a great history here, who's been making a lot of cuts.
I wouldn't say great.
No, but
he's had a good history.
Okay, we'll say good. But comparatively to a lot of the other guys that are in this range,
I know.
I'll say established. How about that?
Fair enough.
Established.
All right.
Decent. Yeah. So I think he's a pretty good player.
I do agree with you.
In that lower range down there. So I think that's definitely a play that I can see.
Another one that also crushed a lot of my GPP teams that I like this week as well at 7,100 is Sean O'Hare.
Yeah.
It's awfully painful to do. It doesn't feel good. But
yeah, it does. But this is the time when you got to buy in after they've missed the cut. What's going to happen with a guy like Will Wilcox this week is you've already missed the turn.
Yep.
You've already missed it. Last week was the time to own him for GPP.
Yep.
This week, I'm not comfortable owning him for cash just because he's been so erratic this year. But even GPP, his ownership's going to jump, especially with this field of guys that we've got here. His ownership is going to jump to 15%.
Yep.
And now if he blows the cut, you're happy that you didn't pick him up this week. And even if he does reasonably well, the odds are still pretty good. He's not going to be a top 10 type of pick. So the play you should be looking to make is probably just to stay off of him for the most part.
Another guy who I kind of like down there at 7,100 is Jerry Kelly. He's been playing very well lately. Yeah. So I think he's a legitimate pick at 7,100 as well.
And then, boy, if you can puke and rally on this one. This guy was on my $300 team. Here's another reason why I didn't win the 20 grand over this last week. But And he got a price bump, which was annoying. You know who I'm talking about.
No,
here.
who the hell are you talking about?
Pat Perez at 7.
Oh God!
This is
crushed more of my GPP teams.
Yeah, exactly.
You can know how I know my GPP teams did when I say everyone crushed them all, but
this guy's got to make a cut at some point, doesn't he?
I don't know.
He missed a couple in a row by 1 stroke. He missed by 2 strokes last week. This is the only time of year where he really dominates and plays well. You look at the numbers again. They line up. This is a place where he plays well. His game hasn't been hideous, but he just hasn't been that great so far.
It's tough. If he didn't play well last week, I felt like, this is the place where he pulls it together. Maybe he's just not going to.
But with the price bump and with yet another missed cut, it's an opportunity. I mean, we talked about Bryce Mulder a minute ago.
Yes.
Coming into last week, he was Pat Perez, basically.
Yeah.
He was 2 out of 6 or so coming into that event.
Yep.
And then, boom, at a tournament that he's historically done well on, he comes live, he turns it around. Last week was the week to be buying. This week, people are going to be in on the play. So we've already kind of missed that one a little bit.
Who dropping down if you're going punt plays in the $6,000 range?
Don't make me do that.
If you want to do Spieth and
it is such a motley crew. I was trying actually to put together a team earlier with Day and Spieth up at the top. That was fun.
Yeah, right.
You know what? You know who's interesting? Way down. I have to actually go. There's like 10,
let me turn my page.
There's like 10 guys who made the back page here. And he's on it, and I'm kind of surprised. But we get Mark Hubbard at 5,900. He actually he made the cut last week, and his price went down below 6.
Yep.
So Pat Perez misses at 6,100. He goes up to 7.
Right.
Hubbard's in the low 6s. He makes it, kind of redeems himself from missing the week prior. He drops down to 5,900. So if you're going to go for one of those ultra-loaded teams, I think Mark Hubbard is a reasonable place to start down there. You know who did get in? He was an alternate, and then I saw today was added on, is Vaughn Taylor at 6,800. He was 10th place here a year ago, and for a while last year, he had a pretty nice stretch where he was making quite a bit of cuts. I know you're giving me a face like you're not gonna.
That guy's dog shit.
Everybody's dog shit on this list.
He's missed 2 straight cuts on the Web.com tour. He's awful. He did have a nice run last year, but.
There's not a lot that I love. I think I like Michael Thompson at 6,600. Yeah. He's been playing really well this season. He's 2 of 4 here at this event, so I liked him. He was a guy that I looked at. If you go up here, he hasn't had success at this tournament, but he's 6,700. Tyrone Van Aswegen.
The ass man.
The ass wagon. He's at 6,700 this week. He just keeps making cuts. He's only missed 1 time so far this year, so he's another guy. And then there was another guy I did a little research on there, Greg Owen, who's actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, he's 6 out of 9 making the cut. But he's had 3 top 10s at this event out of 10 starts, so he's got a lot of experience.
He's actually in the top 10 in strokes gained tee to green right now.
He's made more cuts than not.
On our sportsbook odds to daily pricing tool, he's a plus 38. So he's presenting good value at 6,500.
So he's a guy that I don't love him. I'm not going to throw him into a cash game.
Well, of course not.
But if I'm wanting to build that top-heavy lineup like I've had the last couple of weeks with a couple studs at the top, you got to take a risk.
Right.
And that's a guy that I'll probably take a little bit on. If you drop there to in the same range, Ryan Ruffles looked very good at the Farmers. So it's another course.
I hope he's paired with Phil.
Oh, he's so much fun.
Wouldn't that be great?
Phil would just be grinding his gears the whole time. So that he looks like he's going to be a star. He's young. He's like 17. Yeah. So I don't know if it'll happen right away, but definitely it's a decent value for a kid who looks like he's got quite a bit of talent. Boy, other than that, you got anybody? I really don't have.
So we covered the top. We covered the bottom.
The middle.
Let's touch on the middle just for a couple minutes here. The 8K range, the 9K range.
Say mine first, so you don't steal it. I'm going to use Shane Lowry.
Yeah, I like Shane Lowry
at 8,900. Just because he's going to be battle tested if the weather gets kind of crazy.
I agree. What's his ownership going to look like this week?
It'll be up a little higher. He was in the lead at the beginning of last week. Kind of came down a little. He's never a guy who's that highly owned though, which is
no. He generally isn't. But I think this week he's going to be in double digits.
I think 10 to 12.
That's what I thought.
10 to 12 is probably where he is. But
but he's surrounded by Kevin Na, who's usually pretty popular, or it has been this year, and Koepka.
Well, I think people are
Duff.
going to dive off of Duffner at 88 after last week.
I think a lot of people are going to be on Danny Lee.
I think Ryan Moore will be. Ryan Moore is a very solid play at 8600. He's got a really well-rounded game.
Mm-hmm.
Tends to keep the ball in play. He's not the biggest of hitters out there, but he's got at 8600. He played really well last week at 8500. Didn't really go up a lot in price, so I think I like him there. Danny Lee, is this going to be another event where he hasn't had the history and now this week he just takes off?
It could be, unless some wind is involved, and then I kind of downgrade Lee. And also, I think he's going to be more popular this week.
For sure.
People are going to jump off Lingmerth.
Definitely.
I think, and that's a legit shot. And also a guy at 8K that I noticed, and no, it's not Freddie Jakobsen at 8,100. I'm not quite sure. Russell Knox at 8,000.
He's had a couple nice finishes here, and he's playing pretty well.
He might slide under some people's radars. I don't know. I think we might be able to get in at 9 or 10% this week.
He hasn't played the last couple of weeks,
right?
So he should be one that people aren't quite as on top of for the week. I like that, and dropping down a little bit. I also like Matt Jones. I
do
Matt
too.
Jones is playing really consistent. If you're looking to build a cash team, I think you got to stick. Like last week in my column, I talked about. I kind of advocated. You can grab that one real high guy when you've got all these great players in the middle range. You only have to drop down and maybe grab one guy. This week, with pricing as tight as it is, I think you got to really stay in that solid middle range if you're looking to get 5 guys, 6 if you're really lucky to get those guys.
Right.
And I think a guy like Matt Jones, he's never really going to finish. You're probably not expecting a top 10.
No, T30, something like that.
Exactly. So I think that's what you get out of him right there.
He can play in wind. He's played well at Pebble in the past. So.
Yeah, and then the last guy we'll look at, I would probably say Daniel Summerhays down at 7,500. 4 out of 5 here, making the cut. I think he's 7 to 7 on the season, so he seems to have elevated his game a step. He's making cuts. Not another guy who's not going to win, but at 7,500.
Right.
Nice player to add to your lineups for a little bit of consistency.
Is that enough? Did we cover enough players for everybody this week?
Cameraman's. I don't even think he's got a card that says 40 on it.
He's running out of film. So
guy's got to wrap this up. I got to get home.
So check us out on Twitter. We're at Fantasy Golfers. Zach will do his Periscope. He'll come wandering in after 9 o'clock sometime, casually late.
That's how rock stars do it, man. That's how rock stars do it.
I thought he said 9 Central. Yeah, but Zach's perpetually late.
I'm Axl Rose over here. You wait for the show. You wait for the show to start.
Email us at info@fantasygolfinsider.com with any questions or feedback. Keep us updated on Twitter. If you're doing well in GPPs, we want to be able to send you good karma. And that's all we got.
All right.
Good luck this week. Have fun watching the brutal coverage, and we'll check in with you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care. Good luck.